Welcome to the Final Score Network and the Final Score Podcast, presented by Team Anders Realtors. I'm Andy. He's former NCAA student athlete and co-host.
Ryan, jam, two-hand monster flush off the inbound. Ryan, cam, slam, jam.
Subscribe to us on Podbean, the Apple Podcast Store, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Follow us on Twitter at TheFinalScore35 and TikTok at AGSpartanFan35. Oh, and one more note before we get started.
I'd like to apologize to anyone I've not offended yet. Please be patient. I'll get to you shortly.
Welcome into TFS Pod 147, first pod of November. It's Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald Day for those that celebrate. RIP to the 29, is that how many it was?
Ship's bell rang 29 times for each man in the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Veterans Day tomorrow. Thank you to all our veterans for your service. We appreciate that. RIP Bobby Knight. I know you're going to talk about that here shortly, but I had to say that. Legend. Lots to talk about as always. College basketball. We're here. We have it on the TV in the room right now. College football. We got a few weeks left. NFL. About the halfway point. Going crazy with sports. Love it. Lots to talk about. Let's go to the podium. I'll go first. Historic rivalries ending. Well, this year, as we know, going into next year, there's going to be a lot of changes in college football. There already have been. Some teams moving from the AAC to the Big 12, and a lot of other conferences mixing up. Next year's where it really mixes up. Teams going to the Big 10, Pac-12 ceases to exist. Yada, yada, yada. Big 12 loses their two staples, really, Oklahoma and Texas. So last week we saw Bedlam for the last time as we know it. Oklahoma State not leaving the Big 12. Oklahoma is. People are mad about it. Oklahoma State wins. Good for them. I'm glad they did. I don't like Oklahoma. It's funny. We'll get the last Oregon State this year. That's the last Civil War. The last Apple Cup for a while. Washington State. It's just sad, man. Like, I love these rivalries. Like, I grew up watching these on TV, and like playing them in video games, and loving that stuff. And they're going to be gone forever. It's like Texas A&M. I know. I mean, that was when I was younger. That was a thing. But you obviously talked about that. Just dead. Just absolutely dead. It's sad. Tradition in college
is outweighed
football
by money.
Tradition was what was keeping college football together, and now it's not anymore. And there's a lot of changes that have been made and that will be made. It's not great. We don't like it.
Yep, and I am, as Ryan alluded to, I'm going to do a little ode to probably my second favorite college basketball coach ever, Robert Montgomery Knight. I know a lot of people, especially in today's day and age, would cancel him immediately, would say he was a bully, would say he was a jerk, would say he was an a-hole, would say he was anything you can think of. And look, did the guy have a temper? Yes. Did he kind of go over the top at times? Sure, he probably did. I was at a game at Michigan State when it was debatable whether he headbutted one of his own players on the bench. Kind of looked like he slipped, kind of looked like he headbutted him. But regardless of your stance on that, there is no arguing that Bobby Knight is probably, in my book, the best coach in my lifetime. And I'm not talking about just college basketball. I am talking about in sports. He made Mike Krzyzewski by coaching him when he was at Army and then working with him briefly before, obviously, Krzyzewski went his way and ended up beating Knight's 902 games, surpassing that. But Bobby Knight, for all the bad press of the Neil Reed thing and the student disrespecting him by saying, "Hey, what's up, Knight?" instead of calling him coach or whatever. Like, here's the thing. You can be butthurt about all these things, and you can say, oh, he was a jerk, and he was a bully, and he was all those things. The fact of the matter is, we need more of the Bobby Knights of the world now than we've ever needed before. Because when he was a coach and when he was ruling the roost, and oh, by the way, winning 3 national championships and a lot of Big Ten titles and becoming as great as Indiana basketball's always been, is synonymous with being Indiana basketball. It was his discipline, his expectation that you followed the rules, that you went to class, that academics came first, all these different things. That's what's missing today. Even at Michigan State, where Tom Izzo will chew his guys on the sideline on TV last night against Southern Indiana, but then in the press conference protect his guys. Like, Bobby Knight didn't do that. And I have a lot of respect for him for that. And when I grew up in Indiana in the late 70s, early 80s, yes, the first college basketball game I remember watching was the Michigan State-Indiana State National Championship game with my dad who went to Michigan State. But I was an Indiana fan when I was a kid. That's what you got on TV back then. Not every game was on. Yes, Michigan State won the national title, but you didn't have the frequency and access to it that you do now. And I was an IU guy, and I would have killed to play for Coach Knight. And I know one of my buddies who's been on the podcast before, Polo, was recruited by him. And you could ask him probably a million stories, and obviously didn't choose to go there. He went to Michigan State. But here's the thing is, was he for everybody? Nope. Wasn't for Larry Bird. Clearly Larry Bird did just fine. Wasn't for Neil Reed. Wasn't for a lot of guys. But Bobby Knight was what this country, this world needs. He was a disciplinarian. He followed the rules. He expected good things. He expected respect. He expected people to respect him. He expected people to respect their elders. We need more Bobby Knights. And I'm sad that he's gone. I loved listening to him as an announcer on ESPN. I thought he was so brilliant as a coach. And I've read so many things about how he could break down football. He could break down baseball. He could, like, all these things. He was a tactician. He was brilliant. R.I.P. Coach Knight. You will be missed, even though there's plenty of people out there who are too woke and too butthurt to give you the credit that you deserve. My hat's off to you because you're a hell of a dude.
Very nice. All right. Flag / what technical foul now? Well, it's basketball season.
Yeah, technical foul.
Tee up of the week. John Calipari. This happened late last week. So last exhibition game, he went to the team they're playing and said, "Coach, can you make sure not to play zone defense? We haven't practiced against it at all." Are you actually kidding me? You are a high-level blue blood Division I program, and you go to a Division II school and tell them, "Oh, don't play zone. We haven't practiced yet." I would want to play against a zone. Tom Izzo would beg the other coach to play zone. Any sane coach would. Cop out.
Yeah,
it's disgusting. It's
weak.
Trash.
It's weak, and it goes with the schedules that these guys play. I mean, we've got Arizona Duke on, so kudos to Arizona for going to, Cameron Indoor, because you see too many teams playing the cupcakes, and not putting their neck out there. Obviously, Izzo's always been one to schedule the big guys, but especially in the preseason. Hey, Michigan State's lost to Grand Valley before. Oh well, it happens. But you get better because of it. That's what exhibition preseason games are for. But the problem is now we all clamor to see them, so they put them on TV. So, we don't want to be embarrassed. We don't want to expose the fact that we can't play against the zone. Guess what I'm doing? I'm teaching my team how to play a really good zone. I'm getting Jim Boeheim to come and give me a crash course. And that's what I'm doing against Kentucky, because clearly they don't give a shit to practice against it.
Yep.
Screw you, Calipari.
All right, we're going to switch to around the world now because we have basketball and college football yet. Some good stuff. So let's dive into this thing. Week 10 review.
First, let me throw in there for our Week 10, this doesn't go with a review, but my little weekly soapbox on Michigan State football coaching search. It's been so all over the board. You hear all these news and rumors about Urban Meyer. This is why you don't trust anything that you read. And then you hear all this news and rumors about this guy and these guys and whatever, and Leipold saying, I'm a lifelong Kansas guy. Again, I will say what I've maintained all along. I don't buy any of it until something is signed, sealed, and delivered, including guys who repeatedly say no. I do think Urban Meyer is probably still on the table. I do think Leipold's still on the table. I think Elko is probably still on the table, and I think there's probably another couple of guys still on the table. But you're not going to know until you know, and Michigan State is actually doing a really good job of just kind of letting the rumors go and not saying anything and holding it close to the vest. And am I positive it's going to be something that makes me happy? No, I actually have low confidence in that, but I do at least give them credit for kind of honoring the approach that they wanted to take and talking to a lot of people. The latest, greatest, whether you buy it or not, was that, they've at least reached out to and gained interest, and now they're starting to kind of do the interview process. But again, these guys that are currently coaching somewhere else, they're not going to just be like, yeah, I'm going to fly up to East Lansing for the day. Think how'd that fly with their job? Like, that'd be like if I told my boss I'm going to interview at one of the competitors here in Grand Rapids and then come back and expect to keep my job if they don't hire me. Like, no, I'd be walked out the door as soon as I did that. So I don't, it is what it is. Just hang in there, Michigan State fans, and just hope and pray that they don't screw it up.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, let's go through the games. Big Ten, Ohio State, Rutgers. Didn't really watch it. Kept tabs on the Ohio State. Didn't play great, but they somehow still covered. McCord, he's going to turn the ball over a little bit more now.
Yeah, the last couple weeks he has.
He was taking care of it really well, but he's second in the Big Ten in passing yards yet, so pretty good. Their defense is really solid. They've done a nice job. Rutgers, but this is a huge year for Rutgers. They've really turned it around. I mean, they're going to a bowl game, right? They have 6 now.
Yeah,
right?
they have 6 wins.
So pretty impressive for them. No one thought they could do it. Us included. Whatever. Big surprise last week. We both said Wisconsin was going to cover 9.5 easily against Indiana. Indiana beats Wisconsin. Wisconsin's kind of a dumpster fire this year. They've had a lot of injuries, yes, but good Lord, it's Indiana, and you play. I think it was at Indiana.
So. It was at Indiana, but still, I mean, Indiana has like 9 people at the game. They probably go to the football games because they tell them if you go to a football game, we'll give you a free basketball ticket.
Right.
That's the only reason. Ask your cousin Alex. Yeah. That's the only reason people go to the games.
Yeah, I mean, good for Indiana though. First Big Ten win. Pretty funny. Speaking of first Big Ten wins, Michigan State gets up off the mat for the first time, winning in 2 months.
They listened to the podcast late.
I forgot what it's like to win.
Ryan didn't.
Weird life.
Ryan didn't address that we're a little late this week just because we had a lot of stuff going on between the two of us. But like last week, I talked a lot about some of Michigan State's historically bad teams over the years, and this one was right there. They avoided the offer by beating Nebraska.
That's all we needed. We got our win.
Yep.
But I mean, you have to admit there are some young pieces that are promising to the puzzle. Just a matter of getting a head coach first and foremost, and assistant coaches in there to coach them up and get more transfers in there
better,
and flipping the culture around, because there's some good young players that have shown out the last month. It's been good to see them play young guys.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to what I lean on is don't tell me, show me. Like, I don't need to be told that Michigan State's marching in a bunch of 4 and 5 stars. They ain't on the field for Michigan State, so show me. When those guys are on the field or you're coaching up guys like D'Antonio and his staff used to do, and Michigan State's having success, which I know that they can, then I'll believe it. And the nice thing is hopefully, not too many guys, actually surprisingly low number of guys. I don't remember what we put the under at as far as that 30-day transfer window. We only lost like 4 guys, and only really 1 or 2 of them mattered, if that.
Lost Simmons, Justin White, that long snapper who was the starter. He was fine, but we haven't had really any issues.
Like Justin White was a D2 transfer. Right, Simmons was a 4th year nothing.
Transfer guy, Blackstock, who he wasn't good. He didn't play.
Yeah, he wasn't playing. That's why he transferred. And then the guy from Texas A&M, who was probably going to transfer no matter what, because that's some people just like to get a bug in their butt to do that. The biggest one that would have been a loss was Barrow, and he came back right after 2 days.
He's been really, really good.
And Michigan State's got some good young players on defense. Who's number 55 again?
Jalen Thompson. He's going to be a good player.
Yeah, and then you got Hall at linebacker.
Hall's a nice player. Rucker at corner.
Mm-hmm. Levitt is looking good at quarterback.
Lots of young offensive linemen. Leavitt and Hauser have both looked okay and good. And Eckley, he's on the watch list for a finalist for the Ray Guy Award, and he's a walk-on punter. Another great Michigan State punter. Do you believe that?
That's crazy.
Always. It's always a thing.
We've always had a good punter.
Really, except for that one year we had like 4 punters.
I mean, even dating back to like the 80s, we've had good punters.
Yeah. Which is good. There's
Duke didn't get a call at home.
Some young pieces, which is good. Glad Michigan State got off the schneid. But how bad is Nebraska? I mean, good God. That's embarrassing. To lose to Michigan State? Yikes, Matt Rule.
Yeah.
Penn State, Maryland. Told you Penn State would kill them. They did. They looked really good doing it. Maryland's not. Maryland, of course, their 4-game losing streak. They might miss a bowl.
Yeah, I mean, they have Nebraska on the road this week,
Michigan,
right?
And then Rutgers, right?
Right. So, and they still have to win. Well, they've won 5.
I think
so
they
they
5.
need
I mean, they have to
more,
go 1 and 2 in the last 3.
Not looking good.
Minnesota could have been in the driver's seat in the West. They say nay. Illinois beats them by 1.
The West is a train
It's
wreck.
terrible. Michigan State, if they're in the West, probably could have won the West this year.
They'd be in contention.
They would be in contention.
Shockingly, yeah.
If they're playing these teams.
I mean, Iowa's back in the driver's seat with a guy who's like drives a beer truck during the week.
Yeah, well, speaking of that, Northwestern Iowa, what an absolute train wreck of a football game. It was like 10 yards total and through the first quarter and a half.
They smashed the under 17 total points in that game, and Iowa spread over under this week is 28.5 again.
Yeah, broke their record. They've broken their own record 3 times this season. Unbelievable. Michigan, Purdue. Michigan did not cover. It's because Stallion is on the sideline.
Right, exactly.
Neither
is Harbaugh anymore.
Don't care. We'll talk about that later. Bama LSU, that was a good one. Bama got the dub. Jalen Milroe is rounding into form. They kind of found his niche. He's a RPO, Jalen Hurts run guy.
He's a big dude. I will say that Daniels got absolutely smoked in the head in that game, and there was no call, which was ridiculous because it was as clear a targeting as you can get, hitting a quarterback up under the chin with the crown of your helmet. But whatever, they protect the Crimson Tide at home, so be it.
Yeah.
Florida State struggled a little bit with the fighting doozies, but got the 24-7 win there. Like you said,
Washington,
loss.
USC fired their defensive coordinator. Good. Michigan State will probably hire him as their next DC watch.
Probably. Georgia, Missouri was actually a decent game.
Missouri's
one of my sneaky
really good
coaches
team.
that nobody ever talks about for Michigan State, Drinkwitz. 30-21, not bad.
Good win for them.
Tulane eked out a win. Louisville crushed Virginia Tech. In their way of ranked teams. So Oregon smoked Cal 63-19.
Oregon is. I think Oregon is one of the best teams in America.
Kansas, don't look now. They're ranked number 16, 28-21, or they were last week.
They've had a nice season.
Miami laid another egg against NC State. Another one of those fraud teams. Oregon State had a little win against Colorado. Talk about fraud teams. We talked about that to begin with. What are they, 3-6?
Yeah, they haven't won in a long time. Shocking.
And Arizona 27-10. There's a coach that you mentioned as a potential.
He's 48 years old.
Yeah.
He's done a nice job at Arizona. Very hard place to win and recruit to.
And this is this week already, since we're late in the week. I mean, can we talk about why the hell does I know why, so it's kind of rhetorical, but why is the MAC playing on Tuesday nights? Like,
it's action, baby.
There were 9 people at the Western Central game, which is actually a pretty saucy little rivalry for non-Power 5 schools. And it was a fairly good game. I watched a bit of it, but like nobody cares on Tuesday night. Like people need a break from football at some point. I know
they do it so they can have football every day. They can say we have football on every day from October whatever until the NFL playoffs.
Because the other garbage that ESPN tries to peddle for people to watch, nobody watches, so that the only time they can get advertisers is during football.
ESPN's terrible as we watch Duke try to take a...
Let's
see if they can do this up to the rim.
Well, that clock ran extra. Give me a play-by-play. 72-71. Duke opted not to shoot the 3. There's about 5.4, actually probably more like about 6.2 seconds left. Arizona's got the ball, so... Going to come down to free throws, it looks like.
Yeah. But yeah, football, it's wild right now.
You want to talk?
The cream's going to rise to the top right here. You want to talk Michigan now or later?
Yeah, let's talk about it now.
Talk about the cheaters and the best. So the saga, the Michigan saga continues, as they say in the song "No Vaseline." The last week happens. Crickets. Big Ten comes out on Monday with the sportsmanship saying Michigan has 2 days to respond. Michigan's back. And
because, shocker, NCAA is involved now with the Central Michigan fact that he was on the sidelines for CMU, and then I haven't heard about it much or seen it, so I don't know how true it was, but he might have been on the sideline for the Western Michigan State game the year before too. And then all the posturing and all the lawmakers in Michigan, like you have something better.
Oh, you want to hear the newest? You want to hear the newest thing?
Yeah, give me the latest.
Out. So, where am I going to find this?
So anyway,
here we go. So we went. Where were we? Wednesday. Michigan responds, basically taking the moral high ground, saying we're too good for this. Whatever. They never denied it. They never denied it. All this stuff. Where was this BS when Michigan State had the tunnel incident last year? And Harbaugh's like immediate punishment. Where's that with this, Jim? Huh? You and Ward, idiots. And then Michigan takes the stance. Big Ten, you thought they were going to call something yesterday. They don't. 3 o'clock today, they come out and say Harbaugh has been 3 games.
Finds out as he gets off the plane in State College.
And then Michigan is going to give a restraining order, and go take it to court, whatever. And this is what just came out about 50 minutes ago. It says Michigan's temporary restraining order request has been filed. Plaintiffs, Jim Harbaugh, U of M regents, defendants, Big Ten, Tony Petit, judicial officers, Timothy P. Connors. Timothy P. Connors is a U of M lecturer, adjunct professor at Wayne State, Vermont, and a Michigan graduate. How is that fair?
Right, exactly. Not, but they'll get their way. And here's the thing is, the punishment, while, okay, it sounds severe, it's hollow. Because, you want to know why? He can coach Monday through Friday. That's when the game plan is there. He sits there on the sideline and picks his nose and shits his pants the whole game anyway, so who cares if he's there during the game? I mean, yeah, they've got 2 tough games coming up, but if you really wanted to send a message, you not only suspend him, you suspend the 2 coordinators, and you tell them they can't play in the Big Ten championship game. And then we're talking a little bit more. The NCAA is going to take forever. It's going to be 2025 before anything comes down, and the worst case is going to happen is they're going to make them, quote, take away their banner or take away their wins. And that's such a hollow BS penalty. We all know it. And you spare me the argument that the kids didn't know what the kids are benefiting from this. The kids being the players, they're benefiting from cheating. So I don't buy that. Okay, well, they might not have known, but don't you think anybody with a brain at an academic institution at a stalwart like Michigan would figure out, why is it that we know every single play they're running on offense and defense during a game? And Michigan's trying to throw we have Excel records from past coaches who shows that everybody had our signs. This is not about sign stealing, you dumb, stupid a-holes. This is about the means with which you stole the signs. You broke a 30-year-old NCAA rule. It doesn't matter that you stole signs or anybody steals signs. It's, quote, legal. I get it. This is about the how. So stop with your posturing and the lawmakers sending a message to the Big Ten and we're going to sue you and, we're going to whine, we're going to threaten to leave the Big Ten. Good. Get the hell out. Look, you know what? I'm to the point where if you're going to take rivalries away, I'd rather not have to deal with these a-holes all the time. Go play in the SEC. Go be a 6th, 7th, 8th place team all the time, Michigan. Go for it. Be my freaking guest. I give Pettit, I think is his name, in the Big Ten, Petiti, and the Big Ten some credit for for not listening. They did it late on a Friday. They kind of sent a message. I think it's great. I think if Michigan does get this injunction and Harbaugh can show up on the sideline tomorrow, I agree with you, Ryan. I think it's complete horseshit, and I think all that's actually going to do to Michigan is make it worse for them because they've already peed in the NCAA's Cheerios. They've already peed in the Big Ten's Cheerios. All the ADs in the Big Ten are unanimously wanted penalties. All the coaches in the Big Ten unanimously wanted penalties. And all you're doing is flipping 2 birds and you're yelling pro-Hamas stuff, because yes, that happens at the University of Michigan. And you think you're going to get what you want. And all you're going to do, if they get this, this overruling of the suspension, all you're going to do is make these parties dig in more. And I bet you the next step is Michigan gets no bid to the Big Ten championship if they earn it. And I bet you the next step is
they actually,
even more NCAA scrutiny.
Yeah, no, this is them fighting like this, tooth and nail.
You cheated and you got busted with your pants down.
They knew it.
Period.
They know it.
Why the heck did Arizona foul?
Well, they fouled immediately.
I hate that. I'm not a fan of that. But whatever.
We're
We're giving you a little play-by-play as we go.
Second down.
All right, yeah, second down. And so second down and Big Ten power rankings are presented by Norris Sports Group. NSG is a boutique agency of experts with 30-plus years experience in sports sponsorship and much more. Learn more about them today at norrissportsgroup.com. I admittedly did not do my power rankings, although I don't think they've changed very much. Probably, if anything, I'll move Michigan State off the 14 spot and put Purdue in the 14 spot.
Awful.
Michigan State 13, Indiana 12. Maryland 11. I think Nebraska, Northwestern, Minnesota, Illinois, Wisconsin even. They're all Iowa. They're all the same. They're just like a clump of garbage, and it's still the three best teams. It's Ohio State, it's Michigan, and it's Penn State. And two of them are going to play each other this weekend, and we'll find out.
Where the rubber meets the road the last 3 weeks here. Let's go to picks, I guess, for Week 11. Speaking of Michigan, Penn State, 12 o'clock, Happy Valley. Penn State wants blood.
Penn State has not won a big game in a freaking
when was the last time they won a big game? 2016 against Ohio State.
Probably.
When they still weren't. That was when they're kind of on the come up. I'm going to be interested to see how Michigan comes out tomorrow. If they come out flat with fire, I don't know. James Franklin hasn't proven to me. Michigan's got their signs. I think they win on like a last-second field goal.
Did you see their DC trolling
Diaz? That was pretty
that was awesome.
I'm going Michigan though. I can't pick.
Are we going
them.
spread?
No, straight. It's a 3-point was the last I saw. I might be lower now.
She made both the free throws. Look, I hope that they get their absolute ass run, but I don't expect it. I mean, Penn State just doesn't show up for big games, so that's more of my reason. It's the first game, honestly, the first tough game Michigan's had all year. So it'll be interesting to see how they play against an opponent that can go a little bit toe-to-toe with them. That's what I would say.
Battle of the Eyes, Illinois, Indiana. Shield your eyes, folks. I won't watch this. I'm going Illinois, though. They're a favorite. It's close spread. Illini.
Yeah, I mean, I think Illinois has been definitely better than Indiana. They've had kind of a roller coaster ride this season, but I agree. I think Illinois will get it done, although I've picked like the last 5 games in a row for Illinois wrong. Whether I pick them to win, they lose, and I pick them to lose and they win, but I'm going to go with Illinois as well.
Let's see, Nebraska versus Maryland. Nebraska's trying to get to bowl eligibility.
So is Maryland.
Yeah, Maryland's I think they get off the snide. I don't think Nebraska. They said Nebraska's defense is good. Could have fooled me.
Nebraska turns it over like it's their job, and yeah, their defense had a struggle slowing down a passing game, at least for Michigan State. And Michigan State has an abhorrent offense, so
one of the worst in college football.
I looked at that in my FanDuel parlay, and I'm like, Maryland is actually an underdog, but I'm going with Maryland. I think Maryland knows they've got to get a win. They've got 2 legit chances to get that last win that they need to get to a bowl game. They want to shut up some of the critics that say they can't do it in October and November, which those critics are right. But I think Maryland gets it done at Nebraska.
I agree. Rutgers, Iowa, in Piscataway.
28.5.
28.5.
I'm going Rutgers. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going Rutgers.
Arizona won.
Arizona went to Cameron Indoor as the number 12 team and beat the number 2 team, Duke. Duke's going to be PO'd when they play Michigan State on Tuesday.
I'm going Rutgers. I have this feeling Rutgers is going to beat Iowa and just make the West
I'm going Rutgers
murkier.
Yep.
Even murkier.
I mean, there may be a 3-4 team in Indy.
Yeah.
At this rate.
Yeah. This is going to be ugly. Minnesota, Purdue. Straight up, Minnesota. I
thought I had Purdue's favored in that game.
No way.
How?
Purdue's awful.
Purdue's bad. Minnesota's not very good either, but they can at least run the ball. Yeah, I'm going Minnesota in that game.
Wisconsin, Northwestern, 11.5 is the spread. Don't think Wisconsin can cover that. 11.5 plus 11.5 Northwestern. What do you think? You there?
Sorry, I was looking because they were complaining. We didn't have the volume on, but they were complaining that there was hanging on the rim, and it should have been a T at the end. What was your question?
Northwestern 11.5 or Wisconsin 11.5.
That's a big spread for Wisconsin. They can't score. I don't think they cover that. I think they win, but I don't think they cover 11.5.
No, I agree.
Northwestern's not. I mean, Northwestern they were down on the 2-yard line twice against Iowa and didn't score a touchdown. Had they scored one of those, they would have won that game, and they'd be in the driver's seat, or at least up there at the top of the Big Ten West, which is a total joke. So
it's ridiculous.
No offense to Northwestern, but I think Wisconsin probably wins that, but they will not cover.
Michigan State, Ohio State, 31 is the spread. Biggest underdog for Michigan State in the history of sports books.
25 years ago, Monday, we were a 28-point dog down there and won.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
I remember watching that game.
I think Michigan State's going to cover this. I think it's going to be like 27 or 28-3 final. I don't think Ohio State's offense is great, and I think Michigan State's defense is improved. But Michigan State's not going to cross the 50-yard line unless there's a turnover. I'm sorry.
Yeah, look, it wouldn't surprise me to see Michigan State get shut out. We don't know if you say leave it, I say leave it. I don't know what
He's
it is.
not gonna play.
Either way, he's hit his 4 games to not redshirt. My guess is if Hauser got hurt, he would go in, but I think they're going to try to preserve it. I don't think they're going to put him in for 2 series if they are. They're idiots. Because if you're going to play him, then start him and play him. And if you're not, then don't burn his red shirt. That's kind of how I look at it. The problem is if Hauser goes down and he's not willing to play, there's it's that or Alante Brown.
Oh,
I mean, because thank goodness Noah Kim is nowhere to be seen. So, look, 31.5. That's a big spread. Put that into context. 31.5 point is the spread in the Ohio State-Michigan State game, and it is more than the over-under in the Rutgers-Iowa game. I'm torn because obviously Michigan State got shredded by Michigan 49-0. Ohio State's offense isn't quite singing that much. Michigan State's defense is decent. I don't know. I wouldn't put any money on Ohio State to cover that, so I guess I should stick with that. But I think Ohio State certainly wins. I'm gonna go like 33-3 or 33-0.
Well, pick one.
I mean, either way, it doesn't matter. They're not going to cover the spread. Well, 33-0.
33-0.
So, okay, 33-3, we'll say.
All right.
So,
Tennessee, Missouri. I'm going Mizzou. I like Mizzou.
Where is it?
I believe it's in Columbia.
Missouri's tough. Tennessee they're good, but are they that good? I don't know. I'm going to go with Missouri, too. I like Missouri.
2 NFL games here. Lions, Chargers. Lions come off a bye. They're healthy. The Chargers are completely healthy. I think the Lions lose a close one here. It's a tough game, tough matchup.
Nope, I think the Lions win.
I hope you're right. Big game. Not Chargers. 49ers, Jaguars in Jacksonville. I think the Jags get it done. 49ers.
Is that a 1 o'clock game on a Sunday?
I think so.
It's harder for those, minus Seattle, it's hard for West Coast teams to come and play that 1 o'clock game. San Francisco's coming off a bye too, right?
Yeah, they've lost 2 in a row.
They've been pretty dinged up. I'm going to go with the Niners. I think Jacksonville's been playing really well, but I think the 49ers use that bye time to get healthy.
They're a good team.
I think they'll get their stuff straight. They've lost 2 in a row. They got their attention a little bit. I think they'll find a way and they'll go down there and get the win.
And by the way, that's the last one, though. You're up 1 in the standings going into this week. So
all right, we had a few different picks this week, so we shall see.
Very close. All right.
All right, before we get to, I was going to say third down, but third spot in Around the World, a word from our presenting sponsor. Team Andrews Realty will help you find the home that fits your wants and needs, and they make the process simple and fun along the way. The Anders have served thousands of clients for 30-plus years in the West Michigan area and are here to serve you today. And they're amazing people. Learn more at teamanders.com.
All right. Spot number 3.
Do we want to talk first Michigan State basketball and then do your previews, or do you want to do your previews first?
We can do previews for the last few teams I have then parlayed into Michigan State because I still needed to do them.
Okay. Go for it.
All right. Finally here. My stupid thing.
I got plenty of opinions on Michigan State basketball right now.
Broke up. Do you remember? I think I did Penn State last. No, I did Purdue, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you did Purdue.
Rutgers, Wisconsin, Michigan State left. Okay, I'll rip through them. Rutgers. Well, they're 1-1. They lost already to frickin' Princeton, who was obviously a Sweet 16 team last year. Last year, Rutgers went 19-15, went to the NIT, kind of faltered down the stretch, whatever. 8th season already for Steve Peichel. He's 117, 106. He's done a nice job at Rutgers. Very tough place to win. They have some key losses. Cam Spencer's gone. He went transferred to UConn. Paul Mulcahy, the fairy himself, transferred to Washington, and then Caleb McConnell finally graduated after a long career in Piscataway. Key returnees Cliff Amarui. I have him in bold because I think in all Big Ten guy, he's a really good player, good rebounder, finisher. Andre Hyatt's back. He's a solid 4-man for them. Derek Simpson, he kind of came out at the end of last year. I think he's Geo Baker 2.0, if you remember that name, from Rutgers. Then Mawat Maggie tore his ACL against Michigan State back in February. He's back already. He's a really good defender, kind of their glue guy. Fresh faces, Emmanuel Ogbole, center, freshman, pretty good player. Their headliner's Gavin Griffiths. He's a 4-star shooting guard, like 6'5", can shoot the living daylights out of the ball. Skinny little white guy with goggles. Kind of funny. And they also bring in Jamichael Davis, he's a 3-star point guard. Decent player. Then they have Austin Williams. He's a guard transferred in from FIU. Jeremiah Williams from Iowa State. He's already played like 20 places. I don't even know if he's eligible. Then they're probably their best transfer coming in is Noah Fernandez. He's a point guard from UMass. Pretty good scorer. Scheduled notables for the Scarlet Knights. Played Georgetown, who, it's a historic program. They're not great, but new coach at Ed Cooley could be fun. And then Mississippi State, they play them in Newark. Mississippi State was in the tournament last year. They were in the play-in game, lost to Pitt. Solid team. I think Rutgers is going to be middle of the Big Ten, toward 10th. I mean, they're solid, but not great. They're well coached. I like Peichel a lot. I just don't think they have enough oomph in their roster to be a tournament team. I think they can make the NIT again. I don't see them as a Big Ten or a Big Ten NCAA tournament team this season. Wisconsin, then we'll jump to Michigan State. Another NIT team last year, 20-15.
They scored over 100 in their first game.
Well, what world do we live in? Like you said, the air raid is on the basketball team, not the football team. Greg Gardy's in his 9th year, is 164-93. They only really had one key loss, and it was Jordan Davis. He wasn't even that good. Transferred to Illinois State.
The country singer?
Right. Chucky Hepburn's back. Stephen Crowell, whatever you say, Crowell. He's solid. Connor Segan, if you remember him from last year, he's kind of a nice freshman. Really, he just fits the Wisconsin mold. Mm-hmm. Tyler Wall, he's like 90 years old. Max Klesman. That's 4 white guys in their starting lineup. That's very Wisconsin. And how about this? They bring in 3 freshmen. One, Nolan Winter, 3-star forward. John Blackwell, 3-star guard. How about this? This is a very Wisconsin big guy named. This guy's 6'9", 255. Gus Yalden. This sounds like he'd play for Wisconsin.
Sounds like he's from northern Wisconsin.
And then A.J. Story's their only transfer that came in. You wouldn't think Wisconsin would really get transfers. This guy was a decent player last year as a freshman for St. John's. He's a good scorer. Helped them provide some more scoring because they struggled last year scoring the rock.
Clearly they didn't in their opener.
No, they always play good defense. They run that swing offense. Very, very hard to defend, as I've gone against that numerous times.
Right, Wisconsin is my sleeper to make some noise in the Big Ten.
Scheduled, they're playing Tennessee right now. It's on the Cock. if anyone wants to tune in. Play at Providence next week in the Gavitt games. And they play Virginia. They're playing that Fort Myers tip-off, which is usually a fun little preseason tournament. Playing Marquette. And then they go to Arizona. They got a pretty good schedule there for Badgers. But I think this is a top half of the Big Ten team. I think it's an NCAA tournament team. Like you said, I think this is a dark horse team in this conference. They're well coached. They're seasoned. They have some nice scores. They have size. And they play well together. I think they're going to bounce back, and I think this could be a team that challenges for a top 4 spot, to be honest with you.
They're battling Tennessee. It's 21-19.
Yeah.
9 minutes to go in the first
Yeah,
half.
that's the Badgers. I wouldn't surprise. Okay, you want to talk about Michigan State? I mean,
go through your preview, and then
21
we'll
and
give you
13
reality.
last year, Sweet 16. Lots of expectations. Izzo, 29th season. 287 and 280. This is before the season, obviously. Only really lost Joey Hauser, who was
287.
really good.
You mean 587, 280?
687.
You said 287.
Oh, sorry, I meant 687 and 280. Joey Hauser, obviously gone. Pierre Brooks transferred to Butler. Good, get him out. Key returnees, Tyson Walker, Jaden Akins, Malik Hall, Mati Sissoko, AJ Hogarth, basically the starting 5. Fresh faces. Xavier Booker, 5-star. Lots of potential. Jeremy Fears, really like his game. Cohen Carr, Garrett Norman is probably going to redshirt. And then scheduled notables, Duke next week in the Champions Classic. Butler next Friday night. Arizona playing them out in Cali. And then Baylor and Detroit. I think this is obviously a top, if they play to their potential in what they should be, this is a top 3 team in the Big Ten. A top 3 or 4 seed come March. But the way that Michigan State played against James Madison, the way they played against Southern Indiana this week, leaves a lot to be desired on both sides of the rock. Offensively,
Defense was better against Southern Indiana, but
I
you
think,
would hope so.
Okay, well, actually, I'll start with defense. I think Michigan State has the potential to have if they put in their max effort and do what they should do and play hard every single possession, I think this could be the best defensive backcourt maybe in the nation. Tyson Walker is a pest. Quick hands. Jaden Akins can guard anybody. Hogarth can body people. Jeremy Fears is a really good defender, and Trey Holloman's a really good defender.
I would put Hogarth at the bottom of that list.
And he's a pretty decent defender, actually.
Hogarth, the 4 games that I've seen, so 2 preseason games, 2 regular season games, lazy.
Yeah, he's been bad.
Big part of the reason why we lost to James Madison is because he lost his guy on key occasion time after time. And he
didn't focus.
Didn't play that well last night either, and Izzo's still making kind of some excuses for him. Like, oh, he'll get his, he'll be fine, whatever. The dude will get off defense. He biffs half of his layups. He brain farts on defense. He just looks dumb, and so then he therefore plays dumb. He is the one player that if you told me today, I'm sorry, he's no longer on Michigan State's roster, I would tell you good. Addition by subtraction. You can argue with me all you want. I'm telling you what I'm seeing with my naked eye through 2 preseason games and 2 games. And one of the preseason games was against Tennessee. That's high level. It's not like a D2 team. He is not playing like a senior. He doesn't need ramp up time because he's a senior. I don't buy this. The November games don't matter. I get it. They don't matter unless you're trying to, beat Indiana's undefeated record from 1976, which is not going to happen. But you cannot go out even against a good James Madison team who, what did you say, Ryan, last night? Scored 5 points in the last 2.5 seconds to put it into overtime.
Yeah, they're good. That's a good mid-major.
It's a good senior-laden team.
Really good team.
I don't care. Michigan State was a 16.5-point favorite with a senior-heavy team with major point scoring coming back, major assist coming back, major time on the court and experience coming back. One of the most experienced teams in college basketball to lay an egg at home, which, by the way, was the first home November loss since 1986. I was 13 at the time. Izzo was, 74 or 76-0 or something like that at home in November. It's unacceptable for a team as old as Michigan State. If you were starting Fears and Booker and Carr, I would get it because freshmen have up and down games. Carr had a fantastic game, Izzo said, and I thought against James Madison. He was hard on him last night. I didn't think he played that bad, but he wasn't as good. But that happens, right? Like, I can accept that. I do not accept a Malik Hall, an AJ Hogard, or a Tyson Walker, those three guys in particular, to be a roller coaster ride. I don't accept it. I don't. Michigan State is a blue blood program. It is inexcusable. Madi Sissoko, fine. Dude's like a giraffe on ice skates, as Ryan says. He's serviceable at best. I don't expect him to be anything but a roller coaster ride because that's what he is. But you have guys, and a guy like Hogard who's like, I'm going to play with a chip on my shoulder because I should have been on the koozie watch list and whatever. Like, he's about his. He took a dumb 3 against James Madison when he was clanging him left and right, and he's not a shooter, and it helped cost Michigan State that game. I'm like, I really don't care if he gets buried at the end of the bench. At this point in time, play Steven Izzo ahead of him. My friends probably disagree with me. Most people listen to the podcast will tell me I'm crazy. I will tell you this right now. A.J. Hogard might win Michigan State a game or two this year. He'll lose them 3 times as many games as he wins
let me counter with this. I think Michigan State goes as far as he goes because if you remember,
that's a scary thought.
Michigan State at the end of last year, I mean, yeah, they played well. They started getting better. But when he started playing better, Michigan State looked like a different team than they did before. Offensively, defensively. When he has it, he's really, really good. And when he doesn't have it, I mean, it's bad. It's a 180, and it's one that you flip. Mono was asking me about this earlier. She said, who's one player that was as much a roller coaster as, and we always said Raymar Morgan was a roller coaster. I said he was never this bad.
Not this bad.
But good God, I mean,
we've never had a point guard, I would say, that was much of a roller coaster.
No.
Because
Malik Hall is like that too, though. Good Lord,
Malik Hall, yeah, another.
He's 100 years old.
He can't finish at the rim. He makes defensive breakdowns. Like the king of the tip out rebound. Get up there and grab it with 2 hands, dude. Like, I'm sorry, we're a little spoiled, yes, and it sounds that way. Ryan and I had huge expectations for this team with the shit show of a football team that we've had to watch. And to watch that on Monday night was gross. It was gross. Again, hats off to the Dukes. James Madison. They're a good, solid team. Michigan State, what they've shown me so far this year, including the Hillsdale and the Tennessee game, is the propensity to get behind early because they're flat. The propensity to get their ass whipped on the defensive glass. Last night, Southern Indiana, a team that is not transitioning in that way,
well, maybe,
but from D2 to D1, and is in year 2 of that move, out-rebounded Michigan State in the game, I believe, by 1 or 2, and had 13 freaking offensive rebounds. That is unacceptable for an Izzo team. It is unacceptable for any team in my book because rebounding is an effort thing. It is a find, hit, get. The boys that I've coached forever knew it. Like, we were all about rebounding because that's what I bought from Michigan State was if you can get the rebound, you can control the flow. You know, you can force. Sometimes teams will make shots. I get it. But if you can get the rebound and limit possession time, that's what you need to do. That is 100% effort. And Jesse Van Fleet, God bless him, was not a very athletic kid on my teams, but he was a great rebounder because he bought into it. Find somebody, get your ass into him, and get the rebound. And Michigan State has got the athletes. They don't care to put in the effort. Not everybody, but a lot of them. And I struggle when I see that's a trend.
They watch. They ball watch.
And I'm sorry, but I do count the Hillsdale game. And I definitely count the Tennessee game. They didn't count on the score, in the record book, but I count those because I got to see guys play. Effort for 4 games in a row for certain guys, not good. Shooting, I get it, comes and goes. Now, comes and goes to the tune of 2 for 31 from 3 for the first 2 games. When you were number 1 in the Big Ten and number 3 in the country last year, I have a real problem with that, but I'm going to tell you why this is. Michigan State's shooting last year was because they had Tyson Walker and Joey Hauser. And my boys all know that I was a Joey Hauser. He was my whipping boy. I always have like the white big guy whipping boy for Michigan State. And Hauser was my guy. But dude shot lights out last year. Tell me who's going to replace him this year. Tell me
supposed to be Malik Hall.
because Malik Hall's jump shot, if I see him shoot another
He's
three,
broken.
I'll personally go out there and pull
He's
him off the
broken.
court. Like and Robbie Hummel pointed it out last night in the broadcast.
He's gonna
His
hitch.
3-point shot sucks. He is not going to be anywhere near what Hauser was. So he's not going to replace it. Who else is going to replace it? Akins can shoot it a little bit. He'll do fine. Like he's at least playing defense. He's, he got a bunch of rebounds. He got a bunch of steals last night. Like, I'm not so worried about Akins. I think sometimes he gets a little bit in. I got to get mine mode. He did that early in the second half last night, which I'm not a fan of. But like, I think Akins will be fine. But I'm telling you, who can shoot the three? It sure as shit isn't Hogard.
Fears isn't a great
Fears
shooter.
isn't really a great shooter. Holloman's not really a great shooter. And those guys are more like
It's
glue
Walker
guy
and
defense.
Booker can hit him a little bit.
But he's going to play 10, 12 minutes a game because he doesn't have the motor.
Shoot.
Carr's okay, but he's not a three-point shooter. So the 2 for 31, Izzo can tell you all he wants that I'm not worried about it. I saw him make it. Don't give me the Russell Bird and shot lights out in practice. If I don't see it, I don't believe it. And I don't see it in action under the lights, I don't buy it. This is not a very good three-point shooting team, and they're not going to be a good three-point shooting team. That doesn't mean that they are going to be one for whatever in every single game this year, but they're not going to shoot 39+% like they did last year. They'll be lucky if they're in the low mid 30s this year. I'm telling you with what I see as a basketball guy with my own eyes. That concerns me because they fall in love with the three. Not as much last night, but they tend to. The rebounding and the effort stuff concern me, and the defensive just slowness, lack of communication. Like Hall, one time Walker got absolutely obliterated with what I'll call a Ryan Gam screen because Hall didn't call it out. And it almost happened again. And we're talking about our best player with a bad back got absolutely just wrecked on a screen. That's lack of communication. Those are things that are carryover things. Those are not
leadership.
Those are not one game things. The best leader on that team is Fears. And he's a freshman. Now, the question is does he feel confident enough to do it? Time will tell. I hope he does because he gives Michigan State energy. He plays defense. He knows his role. And it's being yin and yanged with guys who are all about getting theirs. And I'm telling you, without telling you, Ryan and I saw AJ plenty of times walk by our tailgate, and that dude is baked out of his mind most of the time, and you can't tell me that doesn't have an impact on people's performance.
Yep.
It does. It flat out does, and that's how he's playing. And it's really disappointing. I can take a loss in November to Duke, going to happen, to Arizona, going to happen. I can take a close game that was kind of sloppy or whatever, that you win. I can't take the way they played against James Madison. Yes, I get it. They shot horribly from the free throw line, which they were better in the second game. They shot horribly from the three-point line, which they were still horrible in the second game. So I get it. Those games happen. But I do not accept the effort that I see from Michigan State, and that is a huge, huge concern for me. And this my last thing on Michigan State is, Ryan, I sent this to you earlier. I sent it to my buddies earlier. I went back and read the press conference, verbatim from last night. And this stuck out to me because it really teed me off. Quote, if we win the game the other night by 1 because the shot doesn't go in, we all probably feel different. And then the phony fans or internet people don't get all upset. I was upset about the loss. I wasn't upset about the things that happened. Here was my response to that. Okay, Tom, so I'm phony because I saw the team play like dog bleep, because I saw crap effort from one of your boys in AJ and one of your other seniors in Malik. Stop pampering these players. Get after them like you used to. That's what's missing in this world. That's why I gave the ode to Bobby Knight. I'm disappointed in that from him. I mean, I get it. You have bad shooting nights, but you can't get up there and protect them and coddle them. And oh, by the way, at the same time, tell the world how this is one of your favorite teams ever. If this is one of your favorite teams ever, I'm really afraid of what's in front of us, because shooting might come and go, but attitude and effort don't. And the attitude and the effort and the lack of leadership on this team is bad. It's bad. The good news is, I forgot I wrote this down.
We're already at 50 minutes, bud.
MSU with a loss in 09, 10, and 19 versus an unranked team in November made the Final Four. There's your one hope.
Interesting.
All right. Mailbag.
Yeah, it's going to be quick. We're going long.
We got a lot of Mitchapalooza, so we'll make them quick, though. College football. Mitch says, I hate making this comparison but it feels like Hauser leave it situation is very similar to the KJJ situation over the last couple of years. Too early to tell if either is that good, but do we buy the leave it, Levitt, whichever it is, hype?
I think he's going to be a really good player.
I think he's got
the tools.
Even Harlan Barnett will say he's close to cocky, but he's not cocky. You can see he has swag. I will tell you, I said it after the Minnesota game. I see in him the team responds to him.
Yes.
So I would honestly wouldn't mind if they decided screw it and start him the next 3 games, but I don't think that's going to happen. But I think that he could be really good. Yeah. All right. Over under 32.5 wins for Michigan State this year.
I said Mitch, I texted you this on Monday. I said, I think you mean 12.5 under. After that performance, under.
I wouldn't have said over even before that because Michigan State just doesn't usually win that many games. But, I mean, at this point, I'll be happy with 26 or 27, to be honest. Over under 104.5 fouls called on Zach Edey this year.
Oh, under. He probably doesn't have any through this. I guarantee he doesn't have a foul.
I mean, if you play 40 games, that's less than 3 a game. I would say under. Yeah.
Yeah, keep asking. I'm going to see if I can find this.
Who do you like for Big Ten Freshman of the Year? I'd take Scotty Middleton.
Yeah, that's a good dark horse. 0 fouls tonight, by the way, by Zach Edey. That's a good question. I'm going to go with a little outside the box here. Deshaun Harris-Smith from Maryland. He's like a 6'4" wing, extremely good shooter, good athlete. Maryland needs that in the wing. I think he's going to take a lot of shots.
I don't know my freshmen in the Big Ten that much, Mitch, so I'm not going to answer. But I will say this. I think Fears and or Carr are good enough to be in that consideration. I just don't think that they'll get enough minutes a game, assuming the seniors come along. All right, last 2. Where do you think the Lions will lay an egg down the stretch? It will inevitably happen. My guess is at Minnesota late in the year.
Yes.
You think that's where it is?
That's the one that I have circled in my head where I think...
At that point, it probably won't matter either. So does it really an egg?
But, I mean, it'll matter for seeding, but not for the division.
I don't know. For some reason, I just feel like they're going to lose to the Bears.
Oh, God. I would hate that.
In Chicago. I don't know why.
Tyson Bagent.
Bears won last night against Carolina. All right.
Whole
Last one from Mitch. Great questions this week. Better NFL career, Brian Hoyer or Will Golston?
I mean, Golston's probably put up better numbers, but Hoyer's had the life. He's hardly played.
Well, that's the thing. There's a difference. Like, better career Golston. Golston still starts or plays in the main rotation for Tampa Bay. He's been a good, solid player. Not like all-pro, but he's obviously been around for a while. Hoyer has taken what Drew Stanton did and what a lot of great backup quarterbacks have done is just put yourself in a great situation where you're you're a good team guy, you're a good locker room guy, you're a good guy that has to go in a pinch. I wouldn't clearly want Hoyer to start games. He's like 0-13 in his last 13 starts. But dude's made a big career and a lot of money being a backup quarterback holding the clipboard. Means he doesn't get hurt that much and made a lot of money. Gotten to see some good things. So career-wise, Golston, but in terms of who's going to benefit more from it, I would say Hoyer.
Yeah.
All right. Spot 5, NFL.
NFL
no Lions last week, so we don't have anything there to talk about. The one thing to call out, I think, was C.J. Stroud. 470 yards and 5 touchdowns.
He might have broken the curse. It might be lifted, the Ohio State NFL curse. Let's see, what were we? We're in week 9, or the week 9 was last week, week 10 this week. Let's see, what was Thursday night last week? Steelers, Titans, bland, no one cares. Chiefs, Dolphins. Chiefs defense is actually really good. The Vikings, big win with Josh Dobbs. How about that?
Yeah, that was a great story.
Came there Thursday, didn't know the signals, didn't know his teammates, didn't know the cadence, didn't know anything. Came in, they win. Come from behind, win. Crazy. Good for him. The Ravens pummel the Seahawks. The Ravens are looking really good, but they'll falter in the playoffs. No, don't worry. Packers finally kind of woke up, got off the schneid. See what else happened. Those of use. The Raiders, first week without McDaniels, smoked the Giants. The Giants are a train wreck. Daniel Jones tore his ACL, out for the season, whatever. They'll be looking for a new quarterback. Eagles, Cowboys, that was a great game. Came down to the end. Of course, the Cowboys choked because, well, it's the Cowboys. They don't win big games. Crazy. Bengals, Bills. The Bengals are kind of rounding into form after that slow start. And Burrow, you could tell he was hurt. Playing really well. Then Monday night, what was it? Chargers, Jets. And the Jets are terrible. It wasn't too crazy of a week in the NFL, but looking forward to this week. There's some good matchups. Some fun ones, so looking forward to that. But the primetime games have been just awful. The ones this week was obviously last night Bears, Panthers, and I think Sunday night is.
When do they start to get to pick the Sunday night?
Well, they can do that.
It.
Sunday night is Jets, Raiders, and Monday night Broncos, Bills.
That's what? Because it's TV markets. Jets.
Garbage.
Yeah.
Let's see what next week says. Let's see if it's worse. I think the Thursday night games, Bengals, Ravens. That's really good. Sunday night game next week is Vikings, Broncos, and then the Monday night game is Chiefs, Eagles. That's obviously a good one, but good lord,
Super Bowl rematch.
Some bad football, but yeah, NFL halfway point, crazy. It's already gone that fast. Looking forward to it. It's been fun. I think the best division's definitely the AFC North. Worst division's probably what is the worst division? The NFC South. I mean, it's awful.
NFC South is pretty bad. Minus the Lions, the NFC North isn't.
The NFC North is pretty bad. I don't really have anything else NFL wise. Who's going to be the next coach to get fired? Ron Rivera. That's my bet. The rumor is that they're going to fire him and then let Bieniemy coach the last month to see if he's got it. I can see that.
I could see it. I mean, they fire sailed their defense, which is kind of interesting.
They have a new owner, so. All right. Ready to sprint it home?
Let's go for it.
Bucket list college basketball venue.
Assembly Hall.
I want to go to Palestra. Will you watch the TGL?
No.
I said maybe. I might check it out. But here, real quick, side note rumor. John Rahm was supposed to play in it. He's not playing it. There's a rumor he might go to Live.
In what's going on today in the Middle East, anybody that goes there should just be fried on a freaking stick. Like, that's just wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong.
College basketball coach, aside from Tom Izzo, you'd most want to play for?
Coach aside from Izzo that I'd most want to play for? It's a good question. There's a lot of, obviously, good coaches out there. I mean, some of the better historic coaches have gone. It would have been Bobby Knight back in the day, like I said in my opener. That's tough because there's a lot of good young coaches. Honestly, this is kind of an out-of-the-way pick, but probably because I grew up kind of idolizing him as a player when I lived in Indiana, and he was a good Hoosier. Steve Alford.
I said Tommy Lloyd. I like him. Arizona's coach.
Yeah, he's a good coach, too.
Favorite sandwich bread? I don't know. I thought of this.
Rye.
Me?
Yeah.
Is that actually?
Yeah.
Marble rye from Schnitz.
Yeah.
Schnitz's
Deli.
Deli.
Yeah, with a little, like a Rachel Rubin, not the sauerkraut, but like the
California
and whatever.
Reuben.
Yeah. Yep.
Mine's pretzel bun.
Oh, pretzel bun's good. That's for a burger. Yes.
I like that on sandwiches too.
Yeah.
All right, that's 147. Let us know if you have any questions for mailbag you want us to hit on.
Better late than never. We were a little late this week.
Yeah,
but
well, we got it in. We got our picks in.
We had more to talk about because of it. So.
Yep. Good pod. Appreciate you guys listening.
All right. Well, you couldn't end an Ode to Bobby Knight podcast without this classic, which I know that he borrowed from somebody, but everybody probably in sports has seen this clip that he did. So, quote from my one of my favorite coaches of all time, Bobby Knight: "When my time on earth is gone and my activities here are past, I want they bury me upside down and my critics can kiss my ass."